Good morning and good afternoon. How is everybody doing today? This is Live with Main Street, and we've got Anna, Jim, and Eric. How are you guys?
Doing well, Anna. How are you?
Good, thank you so much. It's a little chilly here in Maryland this morning, but we've got an exciting topic today to share with you, and we are talking about starting 2017. Can you believe it? 2017 is less than 30 days away, on the right financial foot. So we thought, instead of taking our normal approach of asking questions back and forth, we thought we'd share some of the tips we have and kind of go in the discussion that way. And then we may take a question or two. So why don't we think about, so usually at the beginning of the year, most of us set up New Year's resolutions, but we know that they don't work, right? Or they tend to fail due to various reasons. Now, us being financial planners and wanting our clients to do well with their finances, what are some of the suggestions we have? And it may not be necessarily involved around finances, but eventually it gets to that. So why don't you, Eric and Jim, give us a few tips of what are we going to do to start on the right foot?
Well, for me, the first thing I would want people to think about is take these resolutions or these ideas and look at it as the whole picture. You know, I feel like a lot of times people will say, I'm going to change this. And whatever this is, they don't factor in what that would do to the rest of their life. So maybe they want to spend less money, but they don't really think that through and say, well, if I spend less money, that could make me or my spouse or my significant other unhappy because we have a certain lifestyle we're used to. And now we have to dial that back, but we don't want to do that. So it may work for a month or maybe even two, but after a while it's just, no, we can't do this. This is too much. So that'd be the first thing I would say. Jim?
Well, I've always found it a successful strategy to have an accountability person. In other phases of my life, when I needed help in my business or help in my personal life, I found someone to be accountable to and on a routine basis. For example, now that I'm trying to lose weight and get in better physical shape, I've hired a financial, and I haven't hired a financial planner. I've hired a personal trainer to help me stay on track and meet with me at least 2 or 3 times a week to make sure I'm doing what I said I'm going to do. And I'm accountable to that person. Not only that, I'm paying that person.
I like that, Jim, because paying somebody, you have skin in the game now. You're that much more likely to maintain accountability. I really like that idea.
Yes, and I want to add something to this. On my list of things to kind of think about is we still suggest, or I suggest, to set goals for yourself for next year, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, financial goals, personal goals, but also have targets. So targets are smaller action items you're going to take to reach that goal. So if Jim had a goal to lose 10 pounds in the first quarter, then that how many training sessions do you have? How many calories? So you kind of have, you almost design a mini plan for yourself. How are you going to achieve something like that? And I think that becomes a little more digestible, and you can actually see your progress and have that accountability partner hold your hand and walk you through that progress.
And in addition to that, Anna, you could break that 10 pounds down into how much each month you want to lose. So now you can celebrate success every time you meet that benchmark.
True.
Use your weight example. You know, if you're saving money, the same deal. If you want to save, you know, $1,000 or $1,200 a year for simple math, that's $100 a month. When you've done it, great. If you didn't do it, it's not as big of a failure. You can just make sure you make it up over the remaining 11 months. So I do think that's a great point, Anna.
Yes. Jim?
Anna, you've pointed out in the past to a lot of your clients, and I've picked up on it, is recommending financial dates. So you don't have to look at it all the time, or when something is stressing you out, you know you have a financial date coming up. How do you do that?
Yes, the financial days that I talked about were more on ongoing kind of sessions that I am doing with Yuri, but it's you carve out a time on your calendar. It does not, if you're doing it consistently, it's not going to take a lot of time, but let's say once a week, or maybe let's start with once a month. You sit down and you look at everything that's going on. How much money did you spend? How much money did you save? What changed? Did you accumulate debt? So just sort of doing mini review of what's happening. That way you actually know what's going on. And I think a lot of you are already doing that because you've got to pay your bills on a monthly basis, right? Everything has to be handled. So, but kind of having that target of it's not, it's a fun thing, right? You're trying to stay in touch with what's going on with the reality, and then you actually checking in to see how much progress you've made. So that's my approach, but I do it more frequently because that's just helps me to stay more focused. So, but once a month would be something to consider. I actually want to circle back to what Eric was saying about breaking down, like you'd mentioned monthly. I was thinking more of quarterly, and then you can do monthly too. But let's say for the next year. So what do people typically do in the first quarter? We focus on getting our taxes done, right? So a lot of conversations, if we're thinking about financial planning, evolved around that. So first quarter could be focused on that. You get a lot of documents ready, you pay your taxes. Second quarter, now that you've done that prep work, maybe second quarter could be focused on actually getting your financial plan updated or reviewed, or if you don't have one, consider starting a relationship with someone. So that third quarter could be allowed for implementations, right? Or at least start implementing. And then the fourth quarter, as all of us like to do, is year-end planning. How is the year ending? What else do we still have to do to make this a successful year? But so that's sort of how I thought I could think of it. And then Eric's suggestion was do it on a monthly basis. Easier to digest, maybe even easier to follow the progress. Jim?
Well, we had a question coming in. I'm just looking at the time we have left. Do you want to talk about any other strategies, or do you want to have some time to answer a couple of questions?
We have 2 questions we can answer. Eric, did you have any more to add on this topic, and we can move on?
The last thing I want to say in parting is, since I've retired from the military, what I've done for myself is I've wrote out a vision that I read every morning and every afternoon, and it's been very successful in helping me stay focused on my goals: financial, personal, professional. And that's exactly how I break down personal, professional, financial, and personal goals. What do I want to accomplish? And then, this year I'd say I accomplished about 75% of them, which is, when you think about people making goals and how often they actually follow through. And to your point about having an accountability partner, Jim, perhaps if I'd had somebody holding me accountable from the outside, I could have reached 100%. But that's my last parting thought.
Yeah, I like that. It's a great suggestion to have your vision and review it often. Very good. Okay, well, let's do. Jim, it looks like you want questions. So here's one for you. So given the cabinet and our new president-elect coming into the office, so what are some recommendations, advice we have for people who are getting closer to retire, or retiring in 2017 or sooner, or considering all of that, or anyone? Do we have any suggestions altogether?
I do. In fact, I had a media inquiry the day after the election for the exact same question, and my response hasn't changed in the 3 weeks since then. It's what's happened in you, the questioner's life, that would necessitate a change in your financial assets, meaning you need more cash sooner, or you don't need as much cash sooner, or you have some other things going on that would have you dedicate your assets to something other than long-term savings or retirement. In that case, you would probably have to change the makeup in your investments. Barring that, what the President of the United States or the Congress or any other specific entity does probably doesn't change people's outcome in the long term. In the short term, because of the press and the media and the way people consume information these days and make emotional knee-jerk reactions, your account balances and your investments could go up and down dramatically just like they've done since the election, against everybody's outlook.
Predictions.
Yeah, that if Donald Trump had won the presidency, the market would tank. It did in early morning trading that first day, but by the time the market opened, people saw that calmer heads were prevailing and their life wasn't going to totally change. So my advice is stay the course unless something in your life is dictating a change in your assets because of goals changing.
Yes, we like that. Eric, you have anything to add to this question?
No, I think Jim summed it up beautifully.
Yes, I wanted to say, get away from the TV and don't read the news that often. I mean, it's everywhere, and I get it, but yes, put a filter on is my suggestion. And let's talk about your goals, right? Okay.
Anna, I just wrote a blog that's going to be published soon. It's all about drama. So look for my blog on drama.
Like that.
Try to make good decisions and get away from getting caught up in the drama.
Right, right, and I've heard too, and you Jim and Eric as well, is that the clients are coming back right now for the reviews at the end of the year. They're like, okay, or clients that are starting a new relationship with us, like, okay, we just want to wait and see what happens. But that's wait for what, right? Your life still goes on. You need to make decisions. You need to have actionable items. You need to execute. So that's we advised against that, not to wait. Okay, so let's talk about a more fun topic, holidays, right? We've had a great Thanksgiving last month, Christmas and New Year's coming up. So, and a lot of family time together. One of the questions that came in is, how do we help our children with financial needs? Do we have any suggestions here?
Well, I do, Anna, and I call it the carrot and stick approach. And for many of our clients have adult children, and some of our clients have grandchildren that might be of school age, where they can start to act in and understand how money operates in our world. And one of the things that I think that parents can do, and this question was written in by a retired couple who have adult children. And so when they say help out their children, they could mean grandchildren also. But I like the 401k matching system, which is if you don't think your kids or grandkids are putting away enough money for savings, that you volunteer to match up to a certain limit, which is what companies do. So if I can talk to my kids and grandkids, I'm going to say, if you increase your savings or you start your savings if you haven't, then grandma and grandpa will match you dollar for dollar up to $25 a month. And that way you can really help your grandkids go, and you might have a different figure for your children. But I like the 401k match system.
I like that too, Jim. We use this analogy a lot of times in the college planning when families come and say, okay, well, how do we plan for college? It's quite expensive, and we use an analogy of saying, okay, well, here's how you get the kids involved or your children. So they have to have the skin in the game. So they go out and they get the student loans, or they work hard. And if they're A students, you help them out, completely pay it off at the end. If they're B students, I think it's 80%. And then if they're C students, you don't contribute to that equation. So I think that teaches them to be more responsible. Maybe they can get a scholarship. They don't have to get loans. And then I think, Jim, you gave an example from your relationship with your son. You bought him a car, right? Because he got in to school for free. So that's another incentive to help them financially. But I think what I wanted to also add is providing them with resources is probably the best bet, as opposed to giving them actual financial dollars, if you can. So that's my 2 cents. Eric? And
the only thing I would add to both of you is making sure that you've taken care of yourself first, putting on the proverbial oxygen mask like they tell you in the airplane, making sure you're taken care of before you even worry about your kids. Because if you're not, then you're not really doing anybody a favor by giving them anything.
Yeah, that's a dose of reality. Thank you, Eric. All right.
Well, Anna, we're just about out of time. You want to wrap it up?
We are. Yes. I want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you all next year. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Jim.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.